Good evening. Welcome to today's podcast on freedom. This podcast series is part of the Erasmus Plus project Songs for Change. Our questions will be answered by the representative of the NGO A21, which specializes in raising awareness about human trafficking.
Hello. It's very nice to be here with you. I'm very happy that I have the chance to, let's say, spread awareness about human trafficking and make sure that people get to know what it is exactly. And let's say that we want to make sure that the more people that learn about human trafficking, the better it will be for everybody actually to make sure that we prevent situations of exploitation in the future. So I'm very happy that I'm here with you. I'm very happy that I have this opportunity to have a discussion with you actually. And I'm ready for all the questions.
Thank you very much.
Freedom is one of the 6 EU values. In this podcast, our guests will discuss this issue with us, shedding light on the dangers of freedom nowadays, and especially on whether young people today, in the context of rule of law, feel protected. We have chosen to give voice to the NGO A21 as the most competent body on these issues and the risk that young people run today.
So, welcome, Ms. Agapidou. I have some questions to ask you. So, are there any obstacles on the road to freedom?
We have to say that we need to be realistic about this, the whole concept of human rights, human trafficking, and everything. We need to say that freedom is a very complex sense. We need to make sure that everybody understands what is freedom. So if I have to answer to a question where we have to say if we see any obstacles for freedom, I would say yes, because we can all see around us what is happening. We have in different countries, we have different political opinions. We have people that believe different things. They have different religions. We have governments that have different laws for countries. We have social differences. We have cultural differences. We have economic differences. Every country is not the same in terms of economic wealth and strength. So that means that it might be difficult or different between countries to define freedom. And I'm sure that we all understand that all the things that we mentioned before might be good in some countries or well organized, let's say, but they might be obstacles in other countries, or there might be things that we need to improve and progress. An example could be technology, for example. Technology is a very good thing, but it could cause obstacles in terms of freedom. I'm sure that in the future of this conversation, we can discuss more about technology and what are the difficulties that someone may experience with technology and human trafficking.
Yes, I see. Thank you. What does freedom cost nowadays?
I I like the fact that we make difficult questions, and I have to say that freedom is a very wide has a very wide definition. It's very complex. We have to see it from different angles if we want to answer the question. If I could say that, okay, let's say that we give this amount of money to someone and we make sure that everybody is free from now on and everything is perfect and we don't have any issues again with freedom. But this is not reality. This is not something that can actually happen. Unfortunately, that would be the easiest way to solve problems of freedom. But this is something hard to happen and unrealistic. Um, Freedom means actually having the option to do something. For example, me, I have the option. I can choose what I want to do with my life. I can choose how I want to progress personally, professionally. I can choose my job. I can choose the clothes that I want to buy. I can choose everything that has to be that I can do for myself. These are questions that let's say, most of people can answer. These are common questions, but what happens with people that do not have the option? What happens with people that experience exploitation? What happens with people that experience that are in war zones, and they actually don't have the option? A good example could be someone who lives in Ukraine. What happens with these people when they don't have the option to choose what they want to study because they have war and it's very difficult for them to even stay in the country? So we can see that lack of freedom actually costs to people personally, and that has a broader sense when we are talking about the social impact that lack of freedom may have in general.
Okay, thank you for your answers.
Hello from me.
Hello.
Is freedom the same for everyone, or is it understood differently for everyone? And if it has a different meaning for each of us, how can it be achieved?
Mm-hmm. As we said before, freedom has is a universal concept. So freedom is well known everywhere in the world. Everyone knows or have heard the word freedom. But it's also this, and it also has a subjective extent. It's a subjective experience as well. So let's say that freedom is the absence of injustice. So when we don't have, when we experience injustice, then we have lack of freedom. And what are we doing about it? We set laws, we set values, we have human rights, which is very important. And that is actually something that defines maybe how a society would work better. Everyone and each one of us here, we all have human rights. We have the same human rights. But each one of us might need a bit of a boost, let's say, in some fields. I'll give an example. Being able to receive education, we receive education freely in Greece, which is a gift, which is very nice. Being able to get educated in universities is a big thing, but not everybody has this opportunity. Let's say at school, I wasn't very good with math. I wasn't good at all, actually. So I needed someone to help me get better at math. This is a very simple example, but I want to make sure that we all understand that we all have human rights, and these human rights are the same, but we need to make sure that they are equal as well for everyone. If someone needs support and boost and on a specific field in their lives, especially people with vulnerabilities, then that means that me personally and all of us as a society, we should cover the gaps so everyone has the same, everyone has the option actually, and everyone has the same option. I'm not sure if I think I'm answering the question, but it's a general concept. And I think that we need to make sure that we need to achieve a more inclusive form of freedom in our lives, in society, everywhere.
Thank you for your answer. And I have one more question for you.
Mhm.
How can young people protect their freedom from conditions that threaten it, such as human trafficking?
Mm. Human trafficking is a big thing. And I think that we should focus on the simple things that we can do in our daily lives to either minimize it or hopefully combat it, actually. So the first thing I say to everyone is educate yourselves. Make sure that you know, for this example, what is human trafficking? What is it exactly? If I walk outside and I see something, how do I know that this situation is a human trafficking case? How can I educate myself and be more aware of a situation? And how can I make sure that I educate others as well? So we need to educate ourselves and we need to share knowledge, our knowledge to other people as well. We need to be connected with people. We need to make sure that we keep up with connections with our family or with people that we trust. Make sure that we are able to communicate with them, share our fears, share our thoughts, especially when it comes to human trafficking. Make sure that we express if something is not right or if something doesn't go very well in our lives, making sure that we are able to communicate an issue with someone and someone that we feel safe with is a way to stay safe, let's say. Then we also need to make sure that we know, this is a very, very simple example, but it's very important nowadays because we have 2023 and everybody is using their phones, everybody's on the internet, not 24/7, but most of the day. So we need to make sure, do we know how to be safe online? Are we aware of the dangers that we might experience while we are all chatting, watching videos, communicating with other people? How can I be more aware of a potential dangerous situation that might be related with human trafficking? What I say in presentations is that, especially with internet use, it's the same thing. If I am at home and someone knocks on my door and I haven't seen them before, I don't know them, it's it probably, I'm not going to open the door to them. I'm not going to tell them, okay, come into my house. So this is something that we should keep in mind for internet use as well. We need to make sure that we know with whom we are communicating, with whom we are sending, to whom we are sending personal information or pictures. Should we send pictures? So these are very simple examples on how we can remain safe, and this is something I think that touches more the youth groups and young people because it's something that we do every day, every single day. Then another thing is personal boundaries. Are we able to set our personal boundaries? Are we able to communicate with others that some situations make us feel uncomfortable? Are we able to say no to situations? Because we have the right to say no, but are we educated enough, or have we ever said no to situations that we feel unsafe? So this is very important to keep in mind. Also, even if we were not able to say no to a situation and we are experiencing fear, or we are experiencing someone else's control over us, we need to make sure, how can we get out of this situation? Is there someone that could help us? This is also something that I'm saying in every presentation. We need to, for example, A21 has a hotline, has 1109, which is a 24/7 hotline where everyone can call and either ask questions about human trafficking or report a case of human trafficking. There are other hotlines where you can call if you are a victim of domestic violence. So we need to keep in mind lines or people or professionals that are available for us to help us and support us. And although we might be in a situation, there is still a way to get out of the situation. And there are still people who are always available, and they're always there to support us and help us.
Thank you very much.
Hello again. So you said earlier that freedom is subjective, and I have to agree with that because we all come from different backgrounds, so we have a different perception of freedom. So that leads us to the next question. What exactly is freedom for A21, and in what ways do you fight for it?
So for A21, freedom is actually having an option, giving to someone the ability to choose for their own lives, being able to choose what they want to do with their future, being able to choose if they want to study something, if they want to live in another country. Having the option, I think, is the ultimate gift of freedom, being able to choose what you actually want to do with yourself. A21 is an organization that is working against human trafficking for the past 15 years. And we have three ways that we want to fight human trafficking. So we have three basic departments. The first department is the REACH department, where we have staff that the biggest goal with the REACH department is to make sure that more people get to know about human trafficking. Students, professionals, doctors, nurses, social workers, everyone should be able to understand what is human trafficking and what are the ways to combat human trafficking. So the REACH department goes for presentations, trainings. We travel all over Greece to share this information. And then we have the rescue department, where we have the hotline. We're operating a 24/7 hotline, which is 1109. And the goal with this department is to actually rescue people that are in situations of exploitation. We really need to make sure that people know what is human trafficking. I'm saying this again and again, but it's very, very important for people to, if they see a weird situation, or if they see something that doesn't make sense or looks dangerous or might be related to human trafficking, we really want people to remember the hotline. And even if they're not sure that, okay, this situation is definitely human trafficking. It doesn't matter. We don't need you to be sure about a situation. We need you to remember the hotline and being able to call us and say, I'm observing this, this, and that. Can we make sure that everything is okay? So the rescue department has the hotline, and we also do rescues. This is why it's called rescue. We are working with the anti-trafficking police departments in Thessaloniki and Athens. We have very good connections, and it happened a lot of times where the police officers are calling us to say, okay, we have this lady. It looks like it's a case of human trafficking. Can you come over and help us? We need to support her. So what we do is we go straight to that place. We make sure that the victim feels safe. We make sure that we give them what they need at that time, because believe me, when you see a person at the police department in this state where they actually just got out of a situation like human trafficking, they just need, at that time, they just need to rest. They need to be calm, and they need someone to make sure that they get the support that they need. So that's the rescue department. And then we have the restore department where let's say, all the magic happens. So the restore departments, we have staff members that their values and the love that they show to survivors of human trafficking changes their lives. And I'm not saying this because I'm working with A21, but I've seen a lot of cases. I've seen people at the first stage where they were at the police department feeling scared, feeling guilt with what happened to them. And I've seen the same people coming to our shelter, again, feeling scared, not trusting anybody. I've seen them spend time there. I've seen them going to the next level. I've seen them attending at the day center, asking us, can you teach me English? Can you teach me Greek? Can you help me make my CV because I need to find a proper job? These people need a lot of, they actually need a lot of love. I cannot find any other word that describes the whole process of restore. And I've seen these people from stage 1 at the police station feeling scared and guilt, and I've seen the same people following all these steps, and I've seen them being completely independent, being able to find a proper job, being able to pay their rent, making families. And it's not something that I can transfer easily with words, but the change and the impact that I can see in their lives, it's completely, it's life changing. So we have these 3 fields that we are working, and again, freedom for A21 is giving the option to people that they didn't have before. They didn't have a voice, and they didn't have the chance to say no to somebody. So giving them the strength and that they can start over again, it's the goal for A21. And this is what is actually freedom for us.
Thank you. That was very enlightening. I also have one more question for you. So, how has the phenomenon of human trafficking evolved over the last decade in our country, in combination, though, with the economic and refugee crisis, war conflicts, and the COVID-19?
So, the biggest challenge with human trafficking is the fact that we see all over the world, not only in Greece. We're not the only ones who experience difficulties in everyday life, but poverty and low quality of life puts people in a very vulnerable position. So let's say for people in Ukraine, their experience a very bad situation with the war. So that makes them vulnerable. That makes them vulnerable in a sense that they have to leave their country. They come to Greece, and they need to make sure that they keep up with life. In the past, before COVID-19, the pattern that we used to see every day was girls mainly from the Eastern Bloc coming over to Greece for a better life, a better job. So they were coming over. We had a lot of cases of sex trafficking, actually, where people were promising these girls a better life, a work as a nanny, a work as cleaning houses and things like that, and they ended up in brothels. In the whole situation was very bad, because the first thing you have to know that when we are talking about human trafficking, the first thing that a trafficker does is to take the documents for someone, their passport, their ID, and everything. So that was the pattern. They were coming to Greece. The trafficker they took the passports, the IDs, and the initial promise was actually a lie. So the pattern was to see girls from the Eastern countries, and then COVID-19. That was the experience. COVID-19 was a big topic, and we've noticed that we were not receiving that many calls as before, because nobody was outside, nobody could see if something weird is happening. So we noticed a drop in our calls. Then when things got to be a bit better with COVID-19, we've seen that the pattern has changed. And now it's the new thing, let's say, is to see girls from Colombia, coming over to Greece with a promise for a better life. The pattern, though, has changed, because we see more girls from Colombia and less from the Eastern countries. So they come over, they are offered jobs as before, as I mentioned before. And the first thing that happens is they come over. When they arrive at the airport, the traffickers take them from the airport. They take their documents. They drive them to the houses, the studios, the apartments, or the brothels that they are going to work. So they go there and they say, okay, now this is what you're going to do. This is your job. And then what happens is that initially what they promise is, they say, you can come over to Greece. I will pay for your tickets. I will pay for your airport tickets, airplane tickets. You can come over to Greece, and when you get tired, you can go back home. It's okay. Everything is fine. Everything will be fine. You won't have any issues with that. So most of the times they accept the offer of the trafficker paying for the tickets. They come over to Greece, and the rest is history. They take their passports and everything, and they are not actually they're not free. They cannot go anywhere, because they are not free to leave these places. They are supervised. And the other option that they might have is, the trafficker says, okay, if you don't want me to pay for your tickets, you can pay for your tickets, and you can decide what you want to do. That's also an option, but no one prefers this option. And when it comes to the working environment, we've heard a lot of stories about the conditions that these ladies are experiencing in everyday life. And the goal is, again, to let people know, tell people that human trafficking is happening everywhere. Human trafficking is happening in Athens, in Thessaloniki, everywhere. And then we need to make sure that if we see something weird, let's call 1109. This is exactly what happened last February. we received a call from a lady who saw something at her neighborhood. She said, I'm seeing this, and that. I'm seeing a lot of girls coming in and out of an apartment, and I'm not sure if this is okay. And I'm seeing the same men controlling them and supervising them. And I can also see that these girls are not the same. Every 1 or 2 weeks, they get to change. New girls are coming in, and it's not the same. I'm not sure if this information, she said, if this is accurate, but I'm just sharing it with you. So she gave us addresses, she gave us license plates, she gave us all sorts of information that you can imagine, and that was actually the let, let's say the gold information that the police needed to save 52 girls. So this is a big thing. When we say 52, it's actually a big thing. We managed to save 52 girls from Colombia who were experiencing very bad situations. So the pattern now, what we see mostly is girls, as I said, from Colombia working in sex industry. As when it comes to labor trafficking, I have to say that this type of trafficking is very hard for people to notice because you somehow need to be at the right place at the right time, and it's very difficult for people to recognize labor trafficking on the streets or in villages outside Athens or Thessaloniki. But it's still happening. It's still happening, and we need to make sure that if we see something in agricultural area and it doesn't look right, you don't have to be sure that it's human trafficking. Just make the call, and the rest would be someone else's job to do. So as you can see, the pattern it has changed, and in each period of time we have different challenges. I'm not sure what the future will hold, but at this time we can see that the things are different, and we also need to operate in different ways as well.
Thank you. Hello from me as well. So I will proceed with the next couple of questions I want to ask you. So, as we all know, actually, human trafficking involves the deprivation of human freedom. So, we wanted to ask you, according to your own experience in the field, to what extent can victims regain their own personal sense of freedom?
So, as I said before, the restore department is the place where all the magic happens. And from my personal experience, as I said before, I've seen people losing their faith in life, and that they feel that they don't have a choice, they don't have future, they don't have they don't have dreams because they went through situations that someone else controlled them, manipulated them, and made them feel that they actually don't have human rights. They don't have the option. This is what they believed. I know that this is not true. I know I've seen people being at the police station, fully scared of life, fully scared of having people around you that you haven't seen before, and you have to trust them that they will do good to you. This is a hard stage, and this is the stage where you need to keep up with these people. You need to make sure that you give them what they need, you take care of them, and believe me, this is something that it will pay back, because these people need to make sure that you need to support them. You want to support them without receiving anything back. Know that they feel scared. They have difficulties in trusting new people. I know that this is a long journey. I've seen people having back and forths. I'm not going to tell you that everything is okay, everything is working fine, everyone is saying yes to anything, to everything that we have to propose to them. People change their minds. People are scared. People are sometimes are not sure about what they want to do, actually. You and we as an organization and as the restore department, we need to make sure that we show them the way, that we help them get stronger, we help them set those personal boundaries that we said before. We help them recognize their abilities, their strengths, remember that they are able to do a lot of things and they have talents. They are smart. They have choice in life. They can actually choose. When you say to a victim of human trafficking that, okay, now what would you like to do with your life? What is something that you really love doing? I've actually asked this question to an interview with a survivor, and she said, no one has ever asked me this question before. No one has ever asked me, what do you want to do with your life? What is your favorite thing? Imagine if no one has ever asked you what you want to do with your life. No one ever before. So I believe that this girl at that time was at a shock because she didn't even realize that she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. So I think that giving them the love that they need, supporting them, showing them the way. It's a long journey, but it's the only way to make them see that you want the good out of them, you want the good for them, and this is the way for them to get back their freedom and their sense of freedom. But again, it's not an easy journey, but I can tell you, I'm sure, and I've seen it happening. It's happening. It's happening to people, and it's a bliss actually seeing this progress in someone's life.
Thank you for your response and for the information shared.
You're welcome.
In order to follow up to my previous question, we wanted to ask you if, in your opinion, if you believe that by cultivating a sense of human trafficking survivors, can a sense of freedom be cultivated at the same time?
Again, the journey is hard. It's very hard for someone, even for us, to convince victims of human trafficking that, okay, you have been through this experience in your life. You felt scared. You felt that someone else has control over you. You don't feel safe at all. You don't trust people. I've seen people saying this thing over and over again. I believe that with all the things that I've said before, people connect with each other in challenging situations, and when things are happening in their lives, this is the point where we, especially the restore department staff, this is the point where they get to know these people actually and get to know them deeply. So when our staff members get to know our survivors deeply, they build up connections. They build a connection, and this is gold. When you build connections with survivors of human trafficking, they get to trust you. And believe me, these people that have been through very serious trauma, if you succeed and if they trust you, it's a win. It's a big win. So when you get at this point, I can tell you that they can feel safe again. They can see life from a different perspective. They can see that they have an option. They can see that you are helping them and that you don't ask anything back. When they see that, they feel safe. And this is something that we have to do as a society. We have to do the same thing individually in our daily lives. It's not something that only the A21 staff does. Yes, we do it because it's our job and we also love doing it. But this is something that we have to do as a community outside. When we see people, we need to make sure that we are inclusive, that we support people, that we are the voice for people that they are not feeling strong enough. So yes, I believe that with a lot of support, people can get back. They can trust again. They can get back the sense of freedom. It can happen. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was very inspiring. So for my last question, but not for the last question of tonight, I wanted to ask you if you think that art and more specifically music can play a supportive role in reintegrating human trafficking survivors.
Mm-hmm. So I haven't talked about, not that much though, about our day center. So in our day center, we have a lot of activities. We have dance lessons, we have Zumba classes, we have art classes, arts and crafts. We have classes that when the survivor comes in, imagine a place with warm colors, very calm, very warm. When you go inside, you grab your coffee. You know that you have a class, and you know that you get to do stuff with your hands. Art is very therapeutic for people that have been through trauma. And the other day we had a Zumba class at our day center, and a lot of our survivors attended to the class. And I wished you were in the room to see how different people from different countries with completely different um, culture, beliefs, characters. Some of them had kids, some of them didn't have kids. The kids were inside the class, and if you could see people from different countries with the same or similar experiences dancing all together and listening to music all together, the feeling of this connection is very deep and it's really therapeutic for them. They get out of the room and they feel alive. They say, okay, where am I going next? What is the next class? What else can I do to feel better? So of course, art and music is very therapeutic for people that have been through trauma. It's even for us. I haven't been through situations like this in my life, but music and dancing and activities make me feel better and help me decompress from difficult situations that I face every day.
Thank you again for answering.
For the last question,
Mhm.
is music an extension of freedom?
So yes, big yes to this. Everybody, I think, could answer this very easily if we think what comes with the production of good music. What do we feel when we listen to good music? So music is a way of expression. Music is a way that someone could show their culture. We're not all the same. We're not from the same cultures. But we experience different things in different countries. They experience different stuff. So for someone, that could be empowering to show that this music is my culture, this is my thing, this is how I'm having fun, this is my identity. I strongly believe that music leads to connection and leads to unity, and it's a perfect gift to use it as therapy for ourselves when we are in communities, when for us when we're working with survivors of human trafficking. So yes, I believe it's an extension of freedom.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so to close our podcast, the crisis of freedom nowadays and whether young people feel their rights are protected is an issue that concerns teenagers. Through this podcast, we hope to provide some answers and trigger further reflection.
Thank you for your participation in the Freedom Podcast, and thank you to the ones who are listening. Stay tuned.